Hey everyone, Captain V from All Pro. Here in the Northeast, it's gray, it's cold. I got a little bit of a sinking feeling. So there's no better day than to talk about sinkers. Now, subscribe, like, share, comment. It helps me out and it helps others out. You might even pick something up here that, you'll say next season you're going to try. If you have an application that works for you, comment below. Comment on the post. Tell us about it. Maybe you'll help out one of your fellow followers here. So, what are sinkers? We basically know they're made to keep bait down in the water column. Keep your lure down in the water column. I basically have them in 4 categories. We're going to start with your rigging sinkers. I call these class of sinkers rigging sinkers because they're part of a rig. They just aren't a dead weight to make you sit on the bottom. So the first one that comes to mind for me is the egg sinker. The egg sinker in the Northeast is the sinker to go to when you're using a fish finder rig. Now, some people will actually use a pyramid jig for their fish finder rigs, but for the most part, the egg sinker is the way to go. Some people who go blackfishing also use an egg sinker to allow that line to go out a little bit and get a direct contact with the fish. So that sensitivity, you can feel every little nibble because the line goes from the hook through the sinker, basically to your fingertip. Another one, another sinker that is used not so much in salt water. You'll see it more in fresh water, but every once in a while, I actually have them on my boat. I need a little extra weight, just a tad here or there when I'm working some really light stuff. And that's, I call it, but your buckshot sinkers. You know those sinkers that as kids we would bite down on them. Now as adults, we use pliers because we've learned lead is probably not good for you. So that is another sinker that we use within a rig to present the bait the way we want it. Another sinker that, again, most freshwater people probably use, I, again, have it on my boat, is the bullet sinker. Because when I'm fishing for weak fish, I use the bullet sinker right here when I'm using a worm, either a plastic or live worm, and I need to work that light worm and get a little weight on there. And the bullet sinker is perfect to cast because the way it's shaped, the weight is towards the back of it, and you can just flip those out and you could work it. And if you're working a live worm, you can let it settle down to the bottom a little bit and let a little line out maybe, and have it sit there a little bit and float up or float around a little bit before you start working it again. Plus, the bullet sinker gives you some nice little action when you're working your lighter lures and rigs. Another one that a lot of people here in the Northeast use is the drill. The drill comes in many sizes. This monster here, 32 ounces, and something really kind of small like this one here. And what we use the drill for is mostly when we're trolling and we're trying to get the bait down. Some people call them trolling sinkers. I think the technical term for them are drills. An area where a drill is used a lot here in the Northeast is when we're fishing for striped bass and you're using live bunker and you want to get that bunker down under the pod where the fish, where the stripers are, down towards the bottom. What you would do is you'd run your line to the drill, and then you have your leader line going from the drill to the hook that has your live bait on it, and you drop that down. A moving sinker is a sinker that's actually designed to move along the bottom. So these are sinkers that you're probably moving or you want it to move. So the number one sinker for that is your bank sinker. Your bank sinker is the most common sinker used. It's probably the #1 selling sinker used. As this sinker has flat sides, but it's also somewhat rounded. It will drag well. It will also cast fairly well because of the weight in the back. And it doesn't snag up as easy as something, let's say, the pyramid sinker would. I fish a lot of these when I want to move and cover some ground. The ball sinker. The ball sinker for me is when I drop down using fluke, I'm using bait, I'm using a double dropper rig, and I like it because I think it just goes along the bottom well, doesn't get snagged up that much. So that is a really nice sinker to use. There's another sinker that you may have never seen, and I used them a lot years ago, and I kind of got away from them because where I'm fishing now, it doesn't really apply, but you should know about it because it may make a difference. It's called a cattail sinker. Kind of cool. Have you heard of that before? A cattail? It's right here. It's named after those plants, those water plants, cattails. Looks kind of just like it. Well, through the lead is a stiff piece of wire. And there's a little bit of a learning curve. But when you're drifting, and this sinker is used mostly when you're on a boat, and mostly when you're fishing rocks or wrecks, you will feel the wire hit the floor of the ocean. You'll feel it hit the rock. You will feel it hit a piece of wood before the lead hits. And you're just going to pop it like that. It's almost impossible to get this stuck in debris. That little thin wire, once you get good at it, you'll feel that your bait is down there and you're just popping it along off those rocks like a, what do they call those things? Ding, ding, whatever that thing's called, I can't think of that. You step on it, you're popping around, you got it. Put the comment below what that thing's called. So that's a pretty cool sinker. The next category of sinkers are mostly used from land. And these are your stationary sinkers. The best stationary sinker, if you're stationary and you want your bait or your lure to be stationary, try a Sputnik. Now, surf casters know what this is because I'm sure they use it. Some other people may not. It's probably one of the best sinkers out there to hold the bottom, especially in sandy conditions on the South Shore of Long Island. And the reason for that is, number one, the shape. It has like a teardrop shape to it. It allows you to cast it far. And it comes in a bunch of different weight sizes. It has these metal legs on it here. And what it does is that when it sits on the bottom, it goes into the sand and it doesn't roll. It doesn't move. It stays still. And you can have your rig now, out moving in that water column. Really, really a cool sinker. And what's nice about it is that when you pull it, it doesn't get stuck. It doesn't dig in. It actually breaks out, breaks loose. It's very easy because the wire is relatively thin, but it's sturdy enough to dig into the sand. So definitely consider a Sputnik if you're a surf caster and you're fishing that way. If you're fishing a sandy bottom and you're off a pier and you got a very wicked current and you cast there and you get aggravated because next you know your lure is over there or your bait is over there and you kind of want to keep it there, go with a Sputnik, baby. It ain't moving. However, this pyramid sinker is what most of us use when we're fishing from the pier. Boy, if we dove down scuba gear to go around piers and jetties and so forth, we probably could make a mint just collecting bridges, collecting the lead from these sinkers because they don't move as easily, obviously, as a ball sinker, right? But if there's any debris in the area, you're basically getting hooked up. So it serves its purpose in the sand. It serves its purpose in the surf itself as well. This may be a little inconvenient to carry around, right? You're stabbing yourself with it, or you can't put too many of these maybe in a tackle bag. But it's a great sinker. This, I think, is the reason why, because it's convenient, it's compact, it has these sides, not overly easy to roll, holds the current fairly well. You also have your for your stationary sinkers are these flat sinkers. Some people call them coin sinkers. They're kind of round. They don't roll. They'll lay flat. They're very good in currents. Currents don't move them because the body of the sinker is really on the floor of the ocean. They are also come in different shapes. They're called flat sinkers, coin sinkers. Again, the profile of them is where the base of the sinker covers the seabed, and they only come up a little bit of in height, so the current doesn't grab them. The last sinker that or category that we use, that I use, is that casting sinker. A casting sinker that I mentioned before is that bullet sinker. It's a nice sinker because of the way it's weighted, but it's also called a bell sinker. It's kind of shaped like a bell. Here's one right here. What's nice about this sinker is if you're casting from a pier, a bridge, jetty, and you want to get distance, this type of bell sinker will make that lure and give you the ability to get it out there further. So those are generally the sinkers that I see and have used in the past. Are there sinkers that you use that I didn't mention? Again, comment below. I love to learn about it. Captain V, let's get fishing.